Greetings and welcome back to another Hambbage hardcore Minecraft adventure. Um, Again, same play session that had generated the last two videos posted. So I hope you had a chance to enjoy those. If you're following right along, hope you took the opportunity to take a little break before this video popped. But again, we're gonna dive right back in to our adventure. So we'll close out the ugly slide and relaunch our world. Um, no significant time has passed, just enough to stretch the legs and swap out my coffee. But as I mentioned, I find it's a good thing to go ahead and relaunch the game when you're recording a video like this. It just keeps the memory resources fresh. And as you go on a longer and longer play session, those can get a little bit tied up. So with my and I'm not running anything super top end. It's a laptop I got earlier this year, so it's and wasn't just the highest end out there. I did make sure that it had a little bit more RAM. I don't even have the full 8 gigs that you can allocate to Minecraft. I think I'm running with 6, so not maxed out. And while I record these videos, I do have OBS running. That's the video studio, which allows me to make the recording, and also have a browser running in the background, which I'm actually or have been loading the previous video while I play. So again, if you don't have just a top-end PC and have been thinking about making a video or sharing your world, don't be overly concerned that you need to have just a super gaming rig computer, and it needs to have the latest graphics card available so that you can have that. That has much more bearing on some of the graphic intense games that are out there. And I see even here, through Steam, a long time ago I ran Skyrim on a previous PC computer, and back then it ran, very, very well. I've since, and this shows how far back that went. I've since played that more exclusively on a PlayStation, and don't the PC that I had been using has long since run into issues and is currently aging out of existence. As I wonder if I'll ever bother to get it repaired. But all that aside, the when you're one of the advantages of Minecraft, and I feel the world is rich and deep. I've been playing in it a long time. The fact that it's a world made up of blocks and things that sit into this invisible palette, grid of squares sitting one atop one another, to me, doesn't. Some people go, "Oh my God, how could you play such an old school looking game?" Well, I like a lot of the really simple graphic games. Some of my all-time favorites don't even attempt to try to look like a deep real world. And I think most of the time, let's face it, a lot of the comments and folks that really engage in the video community are younger. And when you're younger, yeah, you tend to be the target audience for a lot of these things. So they're hyped towards you or marketed to your age group anyway. But one of the things that you don't have a whole lot of yet is the perspective of time. One of the oh man, I'm gonna blank on the name, but there's a game that released this current year. I didn't get it. Cyberpunk. It wasn't cyberpunk, but it kind of tried to be that William Gibson type world of, cyborg enhancement, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it was the big AAA game to launch this past summer or holiday season with deep immersive graphics and attempting to be a real world and all that. And kudos to them. I know it caught some flack for maybe not being the most robust when it launched. For a AAA game, as is way too often the case, seemed to have a lot of bugs from the streams that I watched. And, there was again, not that uncommon, but, on some of the platforms at launch, it seemed to have had a lot of issues. And I'm not speaking firsthand, just what I'd heard or seen in streams and various of the folks that I follow that were trying to play it or played it. We're still playing it. I think lots of those types of games, even if they struggle at launch, pretty quickly they stabilize and become very playable games a little longer term. But what I was getting to is, when you've had a few years of experience buying and then playing games and begin to get a more of a sense for which games have lasting replayability and which, even you never even finish the initial content, much less DLCs or anything else. There are certain ones that really hold up, and even, in the case of Skyrim, which comes to mind for me, I've really enjoyed that game. You can go back and replay that even today, and there's depth, all the books, and the various dungeons and the size and scope of the world make it pretty darn replayable. Now, I've started gazillions of characters in Skyrim, and usually reach a saturation point where I just, kind of step away from it, and then when I come back to it, it's, well, do I want to start back over with the character I had been playing, or should I just, and all of a sudden I find myself riding a wagon to Helgen again, and, here I go. And so I really replayed a lot of the early game content over and over, but I made some deep runs into that game and enjoyed it. But what I was getting to with some of those graphics, and at the time, that was Game of the Year and incredibly vivid world. You go back and play it now, and for all its replayability, you start to notice, hey, these graphics aren't that good. What are people talking about? Well, over the course of time, graphics don't hold up. It's kind of like humor, and the old saying that humor doesn't translate over time, but everyone can relate to tragedy and its drama, or it's timeless, and that comes out of drama and theater. And some of the Greek tragedies everybody knows about and reads in school, or at least gets a familiarity, because the human experience says everybody can relate to losing a child, or the cost of pride, and the things, the ways that the world gets back at you for not having humility. Those things we can all relate to, but comedy doesn't translate, and you can find that anybody that does a little bit of reading in Shakespeare will find that just look at your the texts that usually pop up when you have a high school reading list, and most people get exposed to some degree of Shakespeare. I would still expect, it's been a long time since I've been at school, and I'm not an educator, but I expect that, Romeo and Juliet and some of those still make it into the required reading list, and you talk about them in classes, and those still resonate because everybody can relate to falling in love, and maybe parents not associating to the match or whatever. That stuff makes a lot of sense. The comedies, some people out there may have seen a complete works of Shakespeare. It's a massive volume, and there's sonnets and all kinds of stuff that a lot just get dismissed unless you're the, most intellectual of academia. You just don't bother. And some of that is because the themes that usually get picked up in comedy aren't as timeless as the themes that get picked up in tragedy. Usually, think about the evening, Saturday Night Live skits and things like that. There's some classics that get replayed, but generally, the people that are looking at those are the ones that remember them fondly from when they came out, and the things that were comedic to our parents' generation, most of us just kind of go roll our eyes, like, yeah, all right, and there's variations, right? A pratfall, a fart joke, those kinds of things. There's always a place, there's always some appetite for ribald type humor or the misunderstandings that arise between men and women. Those kind of things are more timeless. But think about if you watch Fallon or Colbert, some of those, if you're of an older generation, think back to Carson and Leno and some of those people. But the constant humor that we used to associate with TV and now, kind of constantly evolves in chat rooms and among online communities, the memes and those kind of things don't have a long shelf life because a lot of time they're talking to the ever-changing world that we live in, and graphics are just as short-lived as humor can be. I think that's just their nature. Technology evolves so quickly and so thoroughly makes it obvious that what's come before really gets eclipsed quickly. So what's all that? Why am I going all that rant while I'm running around with trees and waiting for saplings to fall? Well, I think that replayability of games has very little to do with their visual appeal, and I think that you'll find, for those of us who are my age, and remember back to their own first experiences with computer games that maybe 5, 10, 15 years earlier, if not more, those are the things that persist. Don't necessarily equate to, oh, I remember that game was so beautiful, and I still go back and load it up because it looked so good, nowadays, if you were to go back and say it was Myst, right? You reload it, and I haven't seen Myst running it in ages. I didn't really play it at the time, but I remember it was the eye-popping, phenomenal game very early on in PC dedicated gaming, where the same kind of open world environment where you had puzzles. As I recall, and again, I didn't play it, but as I recall, it wasn't particularly actiony. There wasn't a lot of combat and that kind of stuff. But you had lots of puzzles and a world to explore. And at the time, it was so immersive you could lose yourself, and what was real and what wasn't. Well, now we look at it, and you would go, "What were people thinking? This is just kind of very bare bones." And that will be what people will look back on a lot of the stuff that we're currently running. And that's where I think Minecraft has a real niche, and why it's been what it's been for as long as it has, and why why Microsoft decided to pony up a whole bunch of cash for the rights to it and have continued to grow it since, is it doesn't have to worry about competing on a level of, oh, look at how deep those things are, look at how vivid the people are, all that kind of stuff, outfits and those kind of things. They just don't matter. What matters is what you can do with the pieces around you. And yeah, I think some of the other low pixel games just really can be played over and over and over again because they don't look as tired. You go, wow, man, did that game really come back 10, 12, 15 years ago? It still looks just as I remember it. Whereas if you go back to even a Fallout 3 after playing Fallout 4 76 or some of those, you go, man, I remember this looking a lot better than it does now. And it's not that the game has changed, it's that your interpretation of what you're seeing in front of you changes over time based on everything that's come in between when you played it and when you next play it again. So yeah, definitely like that in this game, that you don't feel that it's just getting old and tired around you, and you can come back to it again and again. And it's sometimes it's worth looking to see, wow, look at how much they've changed some of the textures of familiar blocks over the years. Coal was one, when it first changed, oh my goodness, what did they do to coal? It's broken, and doesn't look right at all. Well, you get used to it, you adapt, and you kind of even forget that they used to look a different way. So I think some of those things will certainly continue, and the developers are certainly more in a better place than any of the consumers to say, this is a change that we need to make, or by tweaking this, we think long term it will be good. Now, the exceptions to that stand out. When a user community raises its voice and goes, "Wow, you guys, why did you make such a change? It looks awful. That was stupid. Change it back." If enough people all universally agree, "Wow, what were you thinking? That's silly." Yeah, that may backtrack it, and some of that is often by design. It's kind of like streamers trolling their audience to get a reaction or to get engagement, intentionally misstating things, which to this point, I don't have enough of an audience to keep engaged anyway. So don't worry, you see me make a mistake, it's legit. I'm either just not paying attention to what I'm doing, or am truly ignorant, or have come to a failed conclusion. And feel free to point me back on track in the comments if you do see something like that. Oh my goodness! But for all that, I got trolled by the landscape. Anyway, for all that, game producers, just like individual streamers, can elicit a reaction by maybe putting in a change that isn't fitting with the palette. Is something that they've all kind of agreed, wow, that's pretty ugly, and get people to react and engage, and just get more hype by creating some outcry. So anyway, be aware of that. But this was how I got trolled from the other side of those ice. Before you could see the trees, I just saw a big rising point of dirt with just mushrooms on it. And for those who know, I thought we'd found a particular biome right in our backyard. That would have been neat. but alas, not to be. So what we found in consolation was the Shipwreck. And since we're right here, we'll gulp some air and see what this chest has for us. Unfortunately, just based on the state of this ship, I don't know that we're going to get the lower room. We'll definitely take a look, though. One more diamond is awesome. Getting those extra emeralds early could be a game changer if we get the right... come on. Whew. Okay. So I don't recall if in our original game, in our original treasure hunting, we found a complete ship or not. This is the stern of a ship, and this one is broken apart, but the ships all have the same basic footprint. There's potentially 3 chests in each ship, and the castle of the ship, or the back raised deck, has what would be a kind of a quarters area enclosed, and it has that chest that has all the diamonds and gold and loot stuff. And then down below here in the back, we have a second chest that's more utilitarian. And as you can see, we get a couple feathers, which are nice. We can use those towards arrows. We get paper. That's why we're growing our sugar. And since we're not a million miles away from home, good stuff. And we get the real highlight out of the ship, which is a buried treasure map. And I don't recall that we've had one in these playthroughs. So the even better thing is this ship, while broken up and in bad shape, was almost beached. You can imagine that it got pushed into shore, or maybe hung up like the ship recently did in the Suez Canal. Caught some sand and got stuck, and then the surf, maybe in the storm, just broke it up. So this is a good find. Getting a treasure map will lead us to more, and as you can see, we're pretty close to this this sunken treasure. I love these maps as much for the treasure, which we're going to go get now, and having, once we find it and see what else may be around, what those ship folks may have considered worthy of burying, we'll maybe head back and unload some of this stuff. But even though we were right on the treasure, I'm gonna quickly try to uncover the rest of this map, because if I get the treasure first, I'll get excited maybe about something. Who knows what's in there? But I am prone to forgetting to finish, and then you gotta. Usually, you're a long way from home when you find these and pull them up. And I like the maps for their map's sake. I like maps in the real world. I think it's awesome that we all have phones and have GPS and satellite mapping on our devices and at our fingertips. That's incredibly helpful to everyone, for more than just having directions in your car. Some people may be inclined to that, but some of the benefits that we as a society get from having precise positioning of things and proximity is really, really cool and really helpful. So I love that technology, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the maps that came before. And I remember as a kid, and younger folks may fortunately not have, but you'd be on a road trip and your parents would be like, all right, we found out where we are, fold the map. And folding maps that would be of this kind of cheap paper and would fold down to be small and fit in the glove box of a car, but they wanted to show a lot of area or a lot of detail in a small area, and they would fold up to a tiny little folded over thing about the size of an extended pocket. They would open to almost fill the front two seats of a car when fully wide open. You'd have your parents kind of both leaning in and arguing about how to interpret or read where we were in relation to that. I'm sure people my age and older can easily relate to those kinds of road trips, and there's something nostalgic for a lot of us about those memories, and not just having an automated voice in your car telling you where to turn next and how far you were, and answering the kids' questions of "Are we there yet?" Nowadays you could just say, "Hey, how far are we? Car, how far are we from our destination?" It'll tell you, and tell you how many turns you have left, and if you've gotten off track or if there's traffic in the way. Awesome things, but they do limit a little bit the mystery and adventure of going out on a car expedition. So we're just going to gather up everything that's in here. I think we have pulled chests in the past, but just in case you didn't, what I was doing with the map there, if you align yourself over it, and you can't have a shield. If you have a shield, you can still see your map. It's much smaller, but it's tough to get the resolution enough to really see what's going on. When you take anything out of your other hand, then you can see it much more clearly. It gets bigger as you hold it in both hands. And as you can see up there on the red X, I've positioned a little cursor that is me to a point where just the little tip of a pixel shows right above the X. If you dig down from there, somewhere in the area will be a chest, and that has the loot that got buried from whoever had been using that ship, or maybe they had acquired the map and were trying to come and find it. Sometimes they'll be right near the ship, as this one was. Other times, you may just be beginning an adventure and have a lot further to go. As I said, we're close enough to home that rather than deciding and prioritizing what stuff was in there, what we wanted to take, we're just going to turn around and head back home. While we do, we'll stop to say hello to this polar bear because he looks cool. Hey, buddy. He will generally remain passive. They're not going to go out of their way to attack you. However, like real bears, if you happen to get too close to their young, they can suddenly get aggressive and, in a defensive act, come after you and make you wish you hadn't gone as close. They're somewhat burly. I'm not going to go out of my way to kill them. There's no reason to. I think at most they will drop some fish, maybe, if I recall. But, we can get our own fish. We don't need to take theirs, and we certainly don't need to kill them to do so. So, yeah, we'll do that. Since I was here, or close, I just wanted to grab those fire charges. Again, they're not super useful, but I knew they were sitting out here and not something that we just had on hand yet. So, why not? No harm. Not that much extra time. We were close anyway, and we know from our little probe there that we've got some birch forest that adjoins to the dark oak forest that runs kind of out in that direction of the ice flows, and there we've got some sprucey mountain top. So here again is our cool cave that we saw in the last video, or 2 videos ago, I guess, when we went on our boat adventure. So lots of good, but we kind of know the extent also. We know how far back that little cove went. We found a ship, and once we've gone back and unloaded, I think we'll next kind of swing out and around that post. If you're getting used to the game, And, doing some of these kind of boat trips, even when you get way out distant from where you currently live or starting your base in your world, and you think, hey, I may never be back here. It never hurts to throw down a torch to kind of mark the extent that you've gone to. And this is not far at all, right? We're just that quick little row away from home, so right in our backyard. But as you venture out into your world, doesn't hurt to show, because you may find that you months later, in real time, and certainly a long time in gameplay, depending on how often you come back to your world, you built a new base, or you've been working in the Nether and have returned back around, and from a different direction, or just in journeying, you're cruising along, all of a sudden, boom, there's one of my torches. Where did this come from? How did I get here? It'll help you know that that maybe you've worked in that area in the past, and sometimes, particularly if you're really lost, or wandering aimlessly about, or just exploring, but from a different direction, I'll let you know, hey, I don't have to keep going in this direction. I've already been here. And usually that makes kind of an aha moment that, oh, yeah, I remember having been here. This area was pretty cool. So just a tip, I like to kind of mark that. And, even now, if we got sidetracked, and I hope not to, I think I'd like to just keep pressing on with our various projects here. Or I'm sorry, not our projects, but our boat trips. You'll find that now we can just quickly go right back to the spot where we left off, and go. But if we had found ourselves harvesting all our crops, or going back down to the abandoned mine shaft, or any of that kind of stuff, it would be much easier to remember. All right, we got this far. Here's where we extended our marker to, or we know that we don't need to go deeper into that that little bay. We've already been there. It also may help us remember that, yeah, there's a birch, dark forest. It's got access back to that swamp. We don't have to go overland to get to all those things. We've already been there, and know the secret shortcut now. So that you may have noticed I picked up the iron sword there. Obviously not treasure, not even prime loot, but where we do have the abandoned mine shaft and may want to get more string at any point, we'll keep that. And as I'd said previously, we'll keep the nuggets as nuggets. I do like the lanterns and would like to build some of those. But while we're going here, I just want to take the chance to show why I filled in the rest of that map, and why I kind of think they're appealing. So we'll be doing a lot with item frames over time, particularly in my storage, just to help us know once we have more chests, what those are used for, or what's inside them at a quick glance. At some point we'll probably make more of a gallery, but for now, this stairway seems to be kind of our bare wall space. So you can throw your maps up on the wall, and they look kind of cool. We've got a little iceberg here. This is where we found the treasure. This is where we walked down through that birch forest a little bit to get it. And up this way was going up to the mountains where there were some spruce trees and stuff. So just kind of looks cool. And, as you do more of those treasures in the course of your world, you can build up a cool little gallery, and some people run together. Other people do very cool things with their own maps, and actually making art out of knowing, hey, I'm going to be at this specific position. I'm going to open up my map, and it's going to show me what I've got on the ground. And then either on level ground, or, by building things, actually making pictures or even words in the ground. And effectively taken a picture of them from a bird's eye view like this. So you can imagine, if you cleared out all these trees and filled it in, and then used, maybe bone blocks to have a white background and coal blocks to use as lettering, you could kind of make a typeset there. And I want to say it was maybe one of the Hermitcraft worlds a while back where somebody was actually kind of printing, making a print press. They had framed out a map-sized chunk, and would very much like, as you may have heard the name Gutenberg in his Bible, in the movable typeset. Well, that was the idea of, you would have an established frame, could arrange the letters, and then print multiple copies. Well, they would create a map after aligning letters in it, and then could copy the map and distribute to the other members of the server kind of a newspaper in the form of maps. And it's such a cool idea. It's one of those examples of people applying their own creativity and ideas to Minecraft that maybe the developers knew, from the very start, were like, someday somebody's going to know to do this and it'll be really cool, and we'll have said, ha ha ha, that was what we were talking about in our private staff meeting way back when. But I'm just going to, live content with the knowledge that somebody came up with that idea just through playing the game, and kudos to them. I think that's kind of what keeps me trying things out as I go, and I won't claim any super insights or particular wins, but I've certainly tried to apply my own ideas to some of the familiar things, and just tweak them to the point where I use them in a way that's comfortable and usable to me. So, yeah, I never came up with the idea of making a newspaper, though. That's so cool. And others have just done artwork that they will create, a building or something in a particular shape. Think of the famous islands in Dubai, right? As Dubai has grown as a city, builders and architects there have made artificial islands out into the water, and have created those in particular shapes. So I haven't been to Dubai. It would be a bucket list item to visit there, but when you see those pictures, you wonder, probably the people standing on them don't even appreciate what the shape is that they're standing on. But when you're either up in a big building that may have been built just, that island may have specifically been built just to erect a skyscraper or something, but when you get up and look down, all of that is brought together, and it's really cool. Well, people have brought that same mentality to Minecraft, in that if you know the dimensions of a map, you can open up. Sorry, I thought I saw another ship, and effectively, screen cap that shape or image that you've built, and be ready to go. So, more ramblings, just filling the time here as we paddle our little rowboat out across the ocean, avoiding icebergs. I mean, they can take down the Titanic, but they can't slow down my little rowboat, that's for sure. Not a robot. Robot would be cool, though. If we had a exploring robot rowboat, could bring some sentience along. So, all right. This may be the backside of the birch forest that was, kind of on the other edge of the mountains on our last visit. But what I'm going to do here is kind of mark this island, because I, for the moment, want to keep pushing out to see if the land goes all the way around these icebergs, or if the sea opens up. And I know, ultimately we'd come along the coast, and talking about, ooh, that is huge. Okay. What I was gonna say, do we loop back around to where we kind of started from, and find that we're just, the sea is a circle and it's inland and we can cruise around in it as much as we want to, but it's not going to go too far, or is it an opening up to a larger area? But forget all that, all on hold. This village is phenomenal. It's this close to home. We have all those mountains. We can throw our villagers in the middle of those and make them safe and secure. Before I say there's a villager. All right. Good job, buddy. It's kind of funny how quick, aside from the villagers themselves, who will definitely want to get to know and will pretty quickly here borrow a couple of, or those that win the lottery will get to come with us. But again, it's kind of crazy how quickly the stuff that they have in their chest, the things that they think are important, we've already moved well beyond, some pieces of bread and some apples. I want you guys to know what I live in. All right. Another tangent here, because I didn't realize this is a librarian, and these are his bookshelves, and he's got a lectern here, which, as we talked about with the blast furnace, the workbench, the grindstone, those are all different villager tools, or workspaces. So when you first come into a village, villagers may not have any profession until they find that there's an available unclaimed resource like this lectern. And so this guy may have been spawned as a villager. I don't know, but when he showed up, he said, okay, this is my lectern. I'm going to be the librarian that's associated to it. And he's got this nice little building, and he's got a few bookshelves around it. He's going to offer trades, and I'm talking this up and kind of, while I do secretly hoping that he's the guy that already is just by default has some awesome trade. So let's fingers crossed. Hope. What do you got? It's 12. Let's let the suspense build, everybody. What do we think it could be? It can't be like an efficiency 5. That's going to cost more than 12 from the start. It's probably not an unbreaking 3, although I've seen those that... No! What the... Oh, we almost had disaster, buddy. Quick. No, don't. Come back here. I'm rebuilding your house. We're going to put up a few torches. What on earth? Yeah, I know, man. Where did he come from? Oh, maybe down here? I realize we still don't even know what that book is, and I didn't mean to troll that. I thought I was dead. Hearing that sizzle, not wanting him to really take out the librarian, and knowing I had diamond on, I just kind of took it and hoped for the best. And fortunately, ultimately, no real harm done. Although your house kind of got a little natty. Okay, we got the door though. That was what I was thinking we were gonna have to rebuild. Yeah, we'll make that more of a project. Let's put that up there. It won't belong there. Since I don't have enough to really finish out your banister. Let's get your door up, because you're going to need that to keep you safe at night. There. Isn't that better? All right. And you got a big stone patio. Isn't that nice? Okay. After we were rudely interrupted, let's not delay. What do we got? Aqua Affinity. That is not what I think is a top priority at this time. So, sir, we're not going to play this long term, because ultimately I'd rather have a librarian villager close to home. And where'd you go? Come back here. Hey, you can still have your job. This is why we'd rather have them back close to home. Maybe you'll become a librarian. There's a lectern in there, sir. Okay, look at that. See, now he walked in proximity, kind of stole the job from the other guy, but he wasn't a very good librarian anyway. You aren't either because you don't have any books. What I was trying to demonstrate with your help, sir, was that when you break a lectern, the same villager, if he doesn't wander off crazily, will reset. He'll become just a generic unemployed villager, like these guys. Not him, but these guys with the plain brown jackets don't have any work. And as you see, when you try to click on them, they just shake their head. This gentleman is a cleric, I believe. And if we click on him, you can see he'll buy rotten flesh and he'll sell redstone. Any of these can swap out what they want and what they offer when you pick up and replace their workstation to it. So, not a tutorial. I'm expecting a lot of people already know this, but it just even helps me to remember as you talk through. So, what I hope to do, having found this village and not hopefully die from it, is get to the point where we have a steady stream of... Yeah, I think we found out where your friend came from. Alright, I'll let you take yourself out. So I just want to, and this is more what I expected in Donkey Village. Whoa. Oh. Alright, everybody just calm down. I didn't hit you with a creeper explosion. That was him. Why you gotta bite me for it? Anyway, this is what I expected in our Donkey Village. Most villages will have some kind of cave like this that gives them a little bit of threat. It helps keep the creeper that we met and others, zombies, kind of in the area, and gives them an egress point from a cave to pop up in the village. Most of the threat to villages comes at night when it gets dark, and that's why the villagers run to their beds and try to hide in their houses. But as we know in hardcore, doors can be broken, zombies can break in and ultimately come after those residents. And that's where the golems get spawned. As we saw, there was at least one around here and more at Donkeyville. Yeah, but they got a nice little spot here. I like it. It's got some cool flowers. I'm going to hold on to my bed until it really gets dark. And with villages, it's kind of a bit of a timing game. If you put your bed down too early, you may find out to your dismay that why can't I play it? Oh, there we go. Oh, because these are path dirt blocks, I bet. I was like, is the game hanging? Well, why can't I do that? But you can't put a torch on the side of a path block. You learn something every day. That's what I learned today. Now, all the villagers have gone to bed. They go to bed a little bit before sunset. And that helps give you a little chance to protect your own bed and not have someone steal it out from under you. So you can time it so that you can let them safely get to bed and still go to sleep before a whole bunch of nighttime mobs come in and threaten the town itself. The good news is they've got lots of emeralds here, and will gladly take those. They're showing me the error of my ways when I said that you outgrow what supplies the villagers have. And I like their gumption for that. Sorry about your house. We'll try to make it up to you soon. But with that said, we're going to take one quick look around because we know our favorite structure from World 1, and we're definitely having good luck with the structures. I tell you what, we got this. Let's go visit the church and climb up on the top of the tower, because we can. And then we can look at that desert and see if there's any temples out there. Again, these are pretty... They come from an earlier time in the world of Minecraft when there weren't quite as many varieties of structures. Not a lot, but I definitely have spent a few imperiled nights hiding out and taking refuge in these. We're definitely coming back here. We're going to get a couple villagers and get our village started in a very safe location, and we'll make it a very high-end and nice place for our villagers to live. But that's kind of going to be top priority. Let's just get a direction. So back to east. Before we do that, since we happened to catch the glimpse of this desert village, we'll go visit it before we really start getting focused on that project. It's just gonna greatly help us out. So here we go into the desert, and hopefully, I didn't really stop to look, but hopefully the ocean wraps around. Good, it does. Sea or ocean or bay or gulf, whatever we decide to call our home water. We now know that we have direct access to a big source of sand. And this, as far as deserts go, this one may not be massive. We'll see how far out it reaches, but for early game needs, it will certainly give us a source for sand and sandstone, and it will give us these cacti that, as we talked about earlier, we can use as a garbage system. We can even start to grow our own passively, just like our sugar and our other fields, while we're going here. But awesome, you're kind of wrecking your own fields there, dude. Get out. I guess it's a desert. Maybe you like the water. Who am I to tell you not to jump in the water? So here we go. Awesome supply of hay in this village. We could pull villagers out of here and float them on down the river. But with being so close, it doesn't matter. All you need are 2 villagers, and then you can have infinite from there. These building types, they're just, I don't know exactly why. How did I miss all the hay and jump right into the hole? Be better. Now look at these guys, still having emeralds for us and a clay ball. We'll take the clay. The swamp would be a great place to go find some of that underwater. I guess it was for, I was trying to think. At some point, I had a brain itch that said, you need some clay. And now that I recall, I think it was in my thoughts of trying to improve the appearance of our home, that we could use some clay to make some flower pots and kind of do a bit of decorating in that way. So we'll take the 1. Obviously, that's not going to get us very far. It's just a very early start, but I think a couple flower pots would be, not unwelcome. It's not hardcore adventure fare, but just because we're out, taking care of business and fighting the good fight against monsters doesn't mean that we can't take a little time to enjoy the nice things in life. And certainly having a few potted plants around our house and, just making it look a little better is one of those things. Love this. We've got, this is our guy that's selling us redstone. He's a cleric, and he's got a brewing stand here, which we could borrow and make use of. But what it does not have yet is any power to it. He's kind of a, I don't want to say it to insult him. Let's go over here. He's a bit of a fraud. His brewing stand doesn't work. It doesn't have any power. Okay, so we've covered that without hopefully offending him directly, but he will not have much to say about it if we wanted to take that. Fortunately, you can make your own brewing stand with very few resources. I saw you have a chest inside your little house, and you're also stuck. Now, being stuck isn't the worst thing for a villager, because as you're out, turn around, if you stayed up through the night in proximity to here and it got overrun with zombies and they really started wreaking havoc on the local population here, having one or two villagers trapped in a house means that the zombies can't get back to them no more than they can go out about their day. They won't be able to trade, they won't be able to restock, but they'll be safe. And sometimes having, like so many other things in this game, just that little extra margin of safety can make the difference. But we've already found multiple villages here. I'm not worried that we're going to be at a complete loss of finding any villagers around. Even in a total disaster scenario, with Donkeyville being on the mountains, or in the mountains and far away from water, we could still pull a couple villagers. Look at all these guys. They're all gathered around the bell and the fountain. We could still pull a couple in a direction that we needed them to. But there's, obviously far better options. We've got our village right across the water from home. That's a really short boat trip, and I think we'll make use of that. The question is, am I going in the right direction now? I'm going in the opposite direction. So, no, not at all. That's why I looked. It's so easy in some of these villages when you start going house to house. If you forget the landmarks, or just aren't paying super close attention, you can easily get spun and wonder which way you're going. But again, there's hay bales here. We can gather up those if we want to do more decorating later. We've got a few back at home, so I'm not gonna bother for the moment. I am very much excited, though, to have this desert close at hand, and with a big, relatively flat area to start. I look forward to being able to gather sand from here, getting more sandstone. We grabbed a piece of smooth, and I'm pretty sure that smooth is the one we want. Just, even though we don't have a ton of storage for it, for discussion purposes, and we probably had gotten all these in World 1 before we got blown up, but regular sandstone occurs naturally out here in the desert, and there's a lot of it in some of these big hills like this. So we can climb up this little mountain here, scrape sand off the top, and then work our way down. Will be like a coating. It's kind of like an M&M, right? The candy coating on the very outside is the sand, and in the case of a peanut M&M, the sandstone would be the layer of chocolate, and then Underneath, in the middle of it all, would be regular stone and, andesite and granite and all the rest of the stuff. There may be iron and coal and all, and maybe even caves and stuff in there, but that would form the core, and we just would just kind of shave it down and reset it. So lots of potential resource here that will be very much welcome. To get the smooth sandstone, we would just cook the natural sandstone. And that's another reason to have lots of coal and to work on the coal blocks so that you can do bulk cooking. Because smooth sandstone has a great blast resistance. So when you build from it, even if creepers go off, they're not going to vastly damage the vicinity or whatever your structure is. So I just came back here and I wanted to highlight a little bit. If this village didn't exist, we'd been hunting, and in some worlds, villages seem to be at a premium. If we'd been wandering around looking for villagers and found that one and had all this river, this is what I was talking about earlier with sections of river can dry up, and it may be worth it in some worlds to go ahead and dig out kind of a canal, but balance out this whole stretch so that you can easily get in and out and transport to it. Fortunately here we don't need to, but as you can see, even though it's dry, the biome on the left is river. So the game kind of incorporates that same real world geography, landscape reality, that there are river courses in the world that are seasonal or only active in particularly wet times, but for all that, they remain a river course. They are going to predictably fill with water when it's flowing, and I think that's kind of cool that for all the wonkiness of the edges of biomes in Minecraft, they do kind of allow for some of that real world stuff, and the fact that you can think about that. And here in Colorado, we were in a biome, I guess you would call it, that is arid high plains. We get seasonal snowfall and moisture. Here's just on our tour as we're going and talking. Down below you can see some glowing blocks down there. Those are sea lanterns, and that would be an underwater structure that's probably going to have a high concentration of drowned around it. It's not a temple. There's nothing super complex about it. It's basically just a building ruin, but would have some chest stone in it with some potential treasure. Will be a good place to maybe get lucky and find, as I did in my own world, or my non-recorded world, a drowned with a trident just hanging out that you can hope that he drops if you kill him. So some of those kind of things. At the moment, though, we don't have any tools to help us breathe or hold our breath underwater, and this is the challenge of these frozen oceans. The little surfaces of ice around them can become a little bit of a maze. You see them and you're like, oh, there's lots of space in between, and you try to take the shortcut through the middle and find your in and out. You can kind of icebreaker it. You can go out and break the ice with your axe and or with your pick and clear a little thing, but it will refreeze. So all in all, better to go around or identify the paths that will actually be open before you bother too much. But we'll here's some of the clay that we were talking about. I think it's shallow enough, and we're right here. We got one piece. Let's just grab some clay. Better to have it before we... And you won't desperately need it. It doesn't have a whole lot of use. You can make a different building brick style, and I'll show you that. Early on, it was one I kind of really liked. Somewhere we're getting a dolphin. You can see that. Let me get rid of this. If he hits again, and we start moving quickly, we'll see the effect show up in the corner. But I keep bouncing up. You want your bubbles to be full. They're going to degrade or get used up over time as you use your breath. But again, fortunately, this clay is pretty close to the surface, so we don't have to pop too far. You know, sometimes you use half your breath just getting down to the depths of the ocean, and there's certainly, you know, there's been some treasure chests underwater where you go all the way down, you dig up 2 pieces of dirt, you then have to turn around and start going, or you're going to lose your health just to drowning between each one. I kind of think we encountered that in one of our, either the early world or the very beginning of this before we'd found our home. So apologies if that's a bit repetitive, but that's cool. We got some clay. Not a huge need, but now we got it. And just taking a look underneath, one of the other pieces of our frozen ocean here that's nice to have close is there are multiple types of ice. There is ice, just regular ice. There is packed ice, and there is blue ice, which is kind of the rarest, and you can see it if I can find any because it lines up differently under the water. And just like in real life, when you're swimming around, you know, on typically people don't, but if you should fall through ice on a frozen lake or find yourself out in that kind of situation, one of the risks is getting caught underneath it. If there's any kind of a current or a flow, or if you just you know, finding yourself underwater in a very, very cold situation, start thrashing around, you may quickly find that you're underneath a shelf of ice, and then you can't get back up to air. And just like in another real life scenario, you know, if you're in real life and you're under the ice, you don't have anything leverage wise to break the ice above your head, and it can very, very quickly, you know, obviously be a life and death situation. And here it's the same deal. Even with a pick, when you're not standing underwater, just like with the cobwebs in the mine that we showed, you break things very slowly. So you can break it. You could cut a hole in the ice, but usually by the time you're trying to swim to the surface, you're already low on air. So something to look out for, be aware of. Now, I hope that in the case of, or in the course of swinging around through the area, we didn't get too lost or off course. But yeah, this is back a little bit along our coast, and I presume that we either cut across this forest or swung around it on our way to our eventual home. I know, you know, we've kind of explored further back, so we know there's some of our torches and things, I believe. Maybe those are just dandelions, but there's the dark oak trees, and that was the one big tree that I think we'd lit up in the distance. And we'll want to get, you know, as we grow up in this area, we'll want to put some landmarks out in the distance to let us know, you know, it's kind of like in old days, you know, old European roads and things had stone markers, and if you look at a map of England, for instance, you'll see that some towns are called things like King's Cross. I think that's and I'm just kind of going from memory here. I mean, it's been a long time since I've thought of any of this stuff, but I believe King's Cross is a train station. It's somewhere in London or a neighborhood or something like that. If you see a name of a town in England, or probably in other languages, in France or Germany or some of those kind of places, but where the name of the town has a cross in it, in at least places that I've seen in England, those actually came from what are now very old stone crosses put up where roads would come together when roads were a kind of rare thing. That back in the day when travel wasn't all that common, when it was difficult and often dangerous, and for lack of a better word, you took your life in your own hands when you journeyed out on the open road. It's not like today, but when you did that, you from your little village where you maybe had 100 or a couple hundred people that were in your and the surrounding villages, you may not ever go outside that in your entire life, and news would be rare enough, and wherever the closest road went through would be a significant town for the area, and it would likely be I'm talking improved roads here, not just a dirt track that you may run your cart over to get to the next village over, where maybe they had a mill and were on a river, and you would bring in your crops to be processed there. While I'm talking, because I'm sensing another one of my tangents, I'm gonna cook this clay. We'll get some clay blocks, I think, from it. And did I gather I guess the one I'd had from that village, right? So we don't have any random clay laying around. We already put away our emeralds while I was talking. But anyway, to wrap up while we're cooking what we were talking about there, when two roads came together, or just at significant towns along a major road, and in the case of England, those roads may all have led directly or indirectly down to London, as kind of for hundreds of years the large community and kind of hub, the city or of the country, which at the time may not have even thought of itself as a country. The people in it, if you'd ask them, they were English. What's that? Even for those of us in America, a relatively young country, before the Civil War, people wouldn't have thought of themselves as American. You pronounced the name. Nowadays we say the United States of America, and the emphasis is on America. We're Americans, and that's kind of it. Prior to the Civil War, 1860s, for those who may not either live here or grow up, but just about now less than 150 years back, or more, I'm sorry, going in the opposite direction, but just over that, they considered themselves residents of the state. If you were in a chat room and you said, "Hey, where are you from? Or what kind of people?" Instead of saying I'm German, they would say I'm Ohioan. I come from the state of Ohio, and it happens to be one of the states that's united into a larger entity called the United States of America, but it was your state, not your country. Well, going back even further, people in small rural communities who had pre-industrial revolution, pre the big growth that happened in European cities, 100, 200 years before that, those people wouldn't have even considered a state or regional association as much. Maybe, maybe going as far as a county or something like that as their larger home area. But, you know, you didn't much leave your village or the few villages around, and maybe once or twice in your life you would go to the closest cathedral town. Maybe not quite that much. Maybe that's an over dramatization, but certainly, once or twice a year. Again, probably in winter time when that large responsibility for farming was at its lowest. You would be more easily able to travel as individuals in the winter, ironically, in places where you had reliable snowfall. If you had frozen rivers and had a good covering of snow, you could much more easily travel by sleigh or sledge. It wouldn't be the Santa style sleigh necessarily with runners, but you could load things up on a oversized toboggan and send that on its way, and you wouldn't have the challenge that some even the middle of summer may have with muddy, boggy roads that could get you stuck, and frozen, hard-packed snow is much easier to travel over than you relying on basic wheels when any journey would be a multiple number of days, and odds are you're going to run into some rain as you go along. So yeah, you don't think back to the fact that many people only associated with their hometown and would rarely leave it. And so in the rare event of a road, and more unlikely, two roads coming together out in, towns would spring up. Those were central hubs because the relative scarcity of ability to bring goods from out in the country, whether it was crops or animal products. Say we were shearing sheep here, and we wanted to take our wool to a center like London, or again, I kind of reaching here. My real knowledge of English history is somewhat limited. I probably know more than just your average person you asked on the street, but certainly no expert. But Leicester, and not Manchester, I don't think so much. Maybe York. Lots of woolens that they would, most of England's cash economy was wool, and so they would raise and then gather the wool from the sheep, and it would often be treated as a raw material over to some of the Low Countries in the European continent, where they were more known as the weavers, who would turn those into garments and things that then would work their way south and go all around the Mediterranean as luxury type goods after they'd traveled far, and that distance was factored into the cost. So here, same deal. Calling a place a cross was indicative of the stone crosses that they would erect where these roads came together, where a market was regularly held. And King's Cross, I think, is the first one that popped to mind, but not only in London, but scattered out around the country. If you ever have if you're lucky enough to live there or have the opportunity to visit, if you come into a small town or on your travels or encounter one of those cross names, either ask around or just keep your eyes open. You may find that the main road through town has a small little circle, roundabout type thing in the middle of it, and you may see a weathered old stone cross in there, and that would reach back to a time when that was a true landmark for residents far and wide. Anyway, a lot of lot of frankly blathering here as I vocalize on things I like to think about and have learned and like to share. I think they're all pretty cool things. So anyway, we've now got bricks. We could throw them, but they wouldn't do much damage, so we won't start any riots. Couple things that I know to do with bricks, and there's probably more, but the first one that I talked about was flower pots. I'd mentioned early on, back a few of my play sessions ago, but many videos back, that I thought about raising this up in an effort, one, to get us a bedroom, get our bed out in the middle of the room, and give us a chance to, throw up a few more chests, maybe store our used armor, some of those kind of things that we can get out of the way of our more utilitarian first floor. And again, having spoken about Europe, first floor is an American localization of what would the rest of the world, I believe, refers to as the ground floor. For whatever reason, we Americans universally call this the first floor, and then everything going up is second, third, fourth. We don't count an extra one for a lobby or a ground or whatever you would call the street level in a city of a building, and houses and anything else. The rest, at least in my experience, the rest of the world would consider this a first floor, not a second. Here in America, we would go, but that's the first. What is that? The 0 floor? Well, no, the rest of the world is ground floor. But here, that would be first, and then we'd throw on a second floor, and that's what my intent is. Just real quick before the mobs come out, I think to break up this just horrible rectangular shape. While the footprint of the building may not change a whole lot, I'd like to raise it up, but give not necessarily a walkable balcony, but a one wide railinged balcony around the outer edge here, and then put some flower pots up on it to give us a little something to look at, a little curb appeal to our new home here, something to make the neighboring villagers jealous, and get us out of this mode of just living in a square box without a roof. And eventually, I'd also talked a little bit, would like to get at the very minimum a basic roof on, but some roof stylings I haven't played with in a while. It's frankly been a little while since I've built structures that have needed roofs. Usually I'm a little more of an excavator, and I will do more with facades and trying to pretty them up that way, but I haven't done a lot that's just been freestanding that's actually needed a full roof. So it'll be fun to get back into building some of those. What hasn't changed in all the wanderings and fun that we've had, we still have yet to get a taste of bamboo, either from a wandering trader or from any of the villagers around, and that is a big want. It's not a need. We don't ultimately need bamboo just yet, but I would really like to have some on hand. I was saying, though, before I got distracted with all that, this is the other block that you can build, and we'll just make one. And it's been a long time since I've used any of these for any real building. There's so many more options. Early on, though, when there weren't all the varieties of stone, sandstone you couldn't do quite as much with. That was, and they've modified it a bit even since I made one. It looks a little less harsh than it used to. Oh, I was hoping for a little bit more of that luck that maybe he would have some bamboo on hand. He doesn't. He's got a fern. I'm not too worried about that. Again, we've now got the possibility to make flower pots, we could put a fern in one and put it outside our door, or maybe inside like a house plant. That would be kind of cool. But I don't want to waste my early emeralds on that. Eventually, and I think with all our spruce taiga, there's probably ferns around, and we could certainly get our own ferns eventually. So not quite at that. We don't sea pickles will give you a little bit of light underwater, but again, not that much need, and we could go gather some from underwater. So thanks, but no thanks, sir. Have a good day, and I won't even steal your leads because I'm feeling generous. Anyway, we've did I pick up that bricks? No, I didn't. We got a brick spot, and as previously mentioned, sometimes it's nice just to mix up what resources you do use to add a little depth. I won't go back into the whole, not rant, but sidetrack of talking too deeply about that. But those could be a nice, with the stone bricks, we can mix those in and maybe get a little more variety. For now, though, I'm just going to maximize our flower pottage. 36 may be more than we ever need, but we've got them. They're real easy to use, and I won't even bother to demo it yet. I want to get going with our start on villagers and kind of pick out a location for them, show you guys what I'm going to do, and then get a couple over and get them started. Because that's going to be an ongoing process, and one that will probably break up with maybe a few trips back down for diamonds and to look at our abandoned mine shaft that we've discovered, and to do these crops to keep getting the emeralds. Because now we're on a timeline now, folks. We know we're going to have a real use for emeralds very quickly, and when we do see a book enchant that we really want, we don't want to be short on emeralds. So I just wanted to hit those. I'm not going to just dive in and redo these quite yet, although I should. How's our time looking? Give me just a second here. Let's check the old recording. We've still got a little while in this scene. Excuse me for just a second here. Take a sip. I love how well insulated mugs hold coffee. How many recording sessions have we done today? It's hours now of gameplay, and still the coffee I made before I started is pretty tolerably warm. It's awesome. Anyway, I don't think the time we have left in this session is quite enough to really let us dive in on the villagers as I want to. I think I'd like to dedicate some time to that, getting it set. We've got a whole bunch of tasks we're going to need to do to facilitate that. So, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna plant as I go. So I think we will turn our fields while we're here. They're ready to go, and this will be a bigger benefit once we get going, because while we work on getting our villagers comfortable and secure, we're not going to be here tending to them. So this is a good opportunity, one we shouldn't waste. So I know we've done quite a bit of this, but as I discussed, I'm not gonna edit down the world and just make a highlight reel. Maybe long term, at this point with this world, if a tragedy should happen, maybe we'll go through and pull some highlights after the fact and say, this is kind of the story of this world. It's done now. Unfortunately, World 1, you can just watch it. We didn't even get to the point of doing repetitive tasks, but yeah, this is this is a real deal. You know, consider this like a stream. As I said, I'd like to get to that live environment where I'm just hanging out with people as we go. And as I make these videos, I could see a time where these are actually captured and then available for later viewing stream VODs where we're playing the game. And that's what I'm going to continue to do here. So we'll talk through the tasks that aren't the most glamorous or edgy, but give us a chance to, I mean, I love letting my mind kind of run and think about stuff, random fun stuff. So somebody somewhere got one of my spots, and we're gonna have to fix that. But it's a good reminder, because I don't think we have left any tools here. We put I put something in the watermelon chest, but I don't think it was a hoe. That was a lily pad. I knew it. I knew we still had it. So we're gonna try to remember that and keep an eye on the sky. And as it gets close to evening, we'll make a run back up to the house, grab. I think we have a couple hoes in various states of decay, so we'll use those or bring them back down here so they're ready. Again, I don't anticipate doing a lot more hoeing. Usually that shouldn't need to happen, but I've done these enough to know that eventually, or just over the course of time, you're gonna end up with random pieces of field that do get bumped back into regular dirt, and having hose. If we just had one in the chest right now, we could talk about it less and fix it right away and be back onto what we were doing. As I said, I kind of think that spiders and or endermen are most often responsible for that. The other thing you may be noticing here is there's gaps in the lily pads, and I have definitely noticed that over time, that you go through and cover everything with lily pads, and then we'll come back and find that a bunch of them aren't there. And I still won't claim that I fully understand what's going on with those, but I think it's more along the lines of, and this isn't to say that it is, but it falls closer in my mind to the category of visual bug than something going through and eliminating them. I think that as you're placing, it's either too quick or there's something that kind of messes with that mechanic, and as a result, the game ultimately just they become blank spots you have to go back through. When we do that, I think we'll find that there would only ever be one or two more where we'd have to do that. Kind of once you've dealt with the problem, it doesn't it's not like they're decaying, and once you've got them placed, you have to constantly repair them or have a stock that you need to go. To my knowledge, once I've dealt with this in other worlds, I never even think about it again, which tells me that solves the problem. Now, maybe I just don't notice it going forward, but I think it has something to do with the initial placement, and is just something I've learned to kind of deal with. Not a very strong argument for using lily pads like this, I understand. See how that one just disappeared like that, and I don't know. Maybe it's a known deal out there, and people all know about it. Frankly, I don't think that there's that many people out there using lily pads to cover water, and this may be maybe the only place where you see that. Now, this one seems just fine, and I don't know, but there you go. Live look at the fun that is lily pads. Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, we've now got those away, and this is as good a place as any to store a hose to. As we said, we're not even equipped to harvest our melons until we get a Silk Touch axe, and really a Silk Touch diamond axe that at that point running through melons won't even take much durability off a diamond axe if it's got some unbreaking on it and those kind of things. Once you got mending on it, you can use it forever. But until we have that, I don't need stack after stack of melon slices. They're not all there. We at the moment don't have any massive need for glistering melons to make. Obviously, we can't make potions at all right now, but even early on, a glistering melon isn't a premium ingredient from the way that I tend to use potions. For me, the phantom membranes to make slow fall are handy when you're in the end. Wasn't even watching my axe. The puffer fish to make underwater breathing potions are important as a consumable for, the things like I just talked about. If you find a deep ship that you want to pull resources from once you get to the point of underwater temples. If you're working in the water elevators that I've alluded to but not really talked about yet, they can make that happen if you don't have respiration yet. Those have a real use and commodity. Glistering melons, I think they make a healing or a recovery type potion. Now that I put my hoe away, there's another. It's I was gonna say ghast tears are they restoration, so maybe glistering melons are health. I don't know. That is one thing that I often will pull up. Once I've gotten kind of established and have made the potions I know I have a need for immediately, or the ones that I'm really familiar with, when I'm hunting advancements kind of stuff and down to the last few remaining. That may be where I go to the wiki and just go, all right, what are all the availables and what are the ingredients that I need? And there's a graphic link from the wiki itself. If you go to potion or brewing or something like that, that show, here's all the ones, here's how to extend them, here's how to make them stronger to a level 2 type thing. Here's the ways to, in some cases, reverse them. So, if you take a health potion and reverse it, then you get a poison potion, logical type stuff. A speed potion reversed becomes a potion of slow, and there are means to kind of make those into effectively grenades, where you can enchant them to be an area of effect, add ingredients to make them a throwable area of effect potion, and then throw them at mobs. So you can play the combat element of Minecraft in a play style that wasn't originally intended or part of the game, but is still just another layer of depth. And it's really cool when you can make automated type traps for mobs where you don't have to physically engage them to take care of them. And if you're building a more involved base, a lot of this gets kind of made laughable because the mob farms and the folks that do the automation, you can create a lava blade, or you can drown mobs, and some of those kind of things actually become much more efficient than using a dispenser full of potions, for instance. But I think it's awesome that it's out there. You can do that kind of stuff. And from my understanding, when you get into server type worlds where you got other human players playing alongside you, those are things that you can build into mini games, or you can make a combat type arena and say, all right, we're gonna battle to the death, but like using the old meme of using beds to kill the dragon, you can create scenarios where you can only fight using potions, perhaps, or just all kinds of cool things that wouldn't necessarily occur to you to try, but offer a way to keep the game fresh and not just the same old when you've been playing it for a while, or think it's a little stale. You've done these kinds of activities before. What are you gonna do next? Well, maybe try once you reach a certain level, only fighting witches on their own terms. Only throw stuff back at them. Don't hit them with a sword or a bow. How can you fare if you give yourself the same options they do? Can you take them down, or do they have an advantage? Anyway, all silly kind of fun stuff to talk about, but all that from we got more than enough melons, and we're not going to bother with them until we have Silk Touch. So, what am I back for? The hoe. That was what I wanted to put away and forgot. All right, now I think I will spare y'all the cows. We've hit them multiple times. I just wanted to drop off some more hay so we'd be well stocked. As you can see, our berry patch is coming along very nicely. But I do want to get our chickens. They're fewer in number and haven't had as much attention yet. And now that we have a bow, it will quickly flip. Even at this point, it's kind of we got more feathers than we need, even though we don't actually have them in hand. But it will become gravel, or harvesting gravel to get flint. That becomes our limiting factor on arrows now. So, just the evolving play of the game. Let's see if we get any more chickens. Just one. But better than nothing, so I'll take it. Why do I still have hay? Wheat. Not hay. Alright. Sun's going down. We spent 2 days working in the fields. We need to replace an axe. And we have one more kind of similar task that I think we should repeat here while we're wrapping up for this session before we really get after our villager production, and this will definitely fit right into it. All necessary, all needed. So we are going to need a whole stack, or, you know, the beds don't stack, but we need a whole bunch of beds, and to make a whole bunch of beds, we need a whole bunch of wool. And to get that wool, we're just gonna run around here and get the sheep we know are scattered. We haven't penned them in, and I don't have a immediate plan to, but yeah, we will. Villagers will breed based on the availability of accessible beds. So that's the mechanic that we're between that and food. Those are the mechanics we're going to be using to create a village based on 2 volunteers to head out and seek a life of adventure away from their old home. Maybe they got into a little bit of trouble when they were young and have never really shaken the stigma from their neighbors. Small town life can be like that, you know. You get a reputation, and it can be tough to make people forget, no matter how much you may wish they would. They will continue to. Ooh, that's another thing. Again, how much time have we got? Let's see here. We're getting close to a break, but after we loop through these sheep, I think I just came up with something else we want to do. We have the means around it, and I think our world would be better for doing it. It's not just farming stuff, although those horses are pretty nice, but that is not what I'm particularly thinking of this particular moment. And again, kind of toying with it. It may have caught people's eye in the distance there, but still, our main intent at the moment is to gather up this wool. We've got some. We're not drowning in it just yet, but enough to increase our supply of beds and kind of begin to lay out what I like to use for my villagers. And these guys are mostly ready to go again, so we'll just hit them on the way back in, grab one of their supply, and then head back out in the same direction once more. Really two tasks that I think we can achieve here, and I will tip my hand on one of them very quickly. While Lud has been just an absolute bud, he's our guy. His similar related species of beast is also intriguing, and one that I'd like to know more of. So we're getting there. We got 11 potential white beds. We've got 1 potential black bed, and that's certainly enough to really get us rocking on our village supplies. We haven't really dipped into our shears at all yet, and we'll head back out to gather a few more. I was hoping to find some fence, and I think maybe that's all on Lud's chest. So grab 1 more of those along the way. We want those, and we need to go get sugar for what we're hoping to accomplish. But fortunately, we're well equipped to have some sugar. Very, very, very happy to see our sugar doing well. And again, we don't need this much, but this will meet our needs going forward. And that's never a bad situation to find yourself in. And again, we now find ourselves very close to having villagers ready to go. So even if we have excess sugar, we can just swap that into paper. And I at this point, I'm already comfortable saying that at least one or two of the eventual librarians that we find with good trades that we want to lock in, or make the trade so that they no longer change, will also alongside that trade in paper. They will ask for pieces of paper in exchange for emeralds. So while we want them for books, we won't get a shockingly large amount of emeralds in exchange, but we'll add to a steady stream. And as a secondary benefit, we're going to have loads of time to talk about this. You think we've had a lot of time to talk already? Once we're trying to line up our librarians, we're going to have lots and lots of opportunity to chit-chat. So look forward to that. But in the meantime, we've now got sugar. We got a lead. We still need fence from Lud. You ready for a friend, Lud? Huh? Are you? Alright. Well, you chill. We're going to get 2 friends. And ultimately, we'll need more. And most savvy people already know what we're doing here. We had gotten out far enough to see the horses, and I would like to get one of them. And there's another little critter out in the spruce forest back that way that was just peeking at us from the distance, and I didn't approach him or her, and I didn't want to scare them off too much. But yeah, we'll see. Now, eventually, we're going to need second donkey and a second horse so that we can breed them, and we'll also crossbreed to get a mule eventually. But again, we barely have a pen big enough for Lud, and we're going to throw a horse in there as well. So when we're done, so no real need to rush there. But there he is in the distance, a couple of them, and we may actually, if we're really lucky, get both. We don't have unlimited supply of bones, but we've got some. So these are wolves. Wolves come in packs. Oh, look at that. First try. You wanted to be a friend. Do you want to be a friend? Oh, you're going to run away. You stay there. Let me see if we can get some of these others. Wow. We have awesome friends. Hey, guys. How you doing? Good job, buddies. Come on. So now they become dogs. They are our buddies, and they don't, unlike donkeys. By the way, these are ferns. Just what that wandering trader had tried to offer us earlier. So eventually we can harvest these. If we just break them, they'll turn into seeds. But with maybe with the shears. Let's see. It's either silk touch or shears, and I'm not sure which. Sorry, guys. I know I'm confusing you. You're like, wait, what? It was just one bone each, and now you're just leading us up and down a hill like the Grand Old Duke York. Yeah, so there we go. We got some friends. And since we have flower pots, it's, you just cut grass, though. You don't get ferns. Look at that. Are these big ferns? I don't know if there's any difference. No, it's maybe big grass. We don't need grass. Okay. We got doggy friends. Awesome doggy friends. So dogs will follow you around, and they're a little slow when it comes to swimming, but we're not judging. In fact, we're gonna use that opportunity just to get out of bed. You guys can catch up, and yeah, they shake off the water after they go swimming. They get a little darker in their coat, which kind of reflects that idea of, you know, wet dog. Their hair gets damp, but most of the dogs I've had love water. They absolutely, and as an adult, particularly Goldens, various retrievers, they love, you know, get a hose out in the summertime or a lake when you're out camping or hiking. They will enjoy it. So the other part of this little journey was to get a horse, and we've got a couple candidates here. And horses, you know, they have, we talked a little bit about the jumping. They have some attributes. When you're getting ready to tame a horse, you want to have a free hand. With a free hand, you can get on, and then you can see that they have a number of hearts. That guy has a lot more hearts than the others. It's my understanding that the hearts don't have a direct correlation to speed, but horses also have a hidden speed attribute. And unfortunately, as you're going around deciding, hey, what horse is going to be horse number one, and this could cause some damage. He bucks me off this cliff. We fortunately got good armor and we got full health, so I'm not too worried. The horse itself isn't going to launch off, but as they're running around, they may kick us off. And as you can see, you know, none of them just immediate. They're not like our dogs that, you know, one bone. Hey, I'm coming to live with you. I've been living out in the woods long enough. I hear you got steak. Let's go. These guys, don't prove me wrong. Of course you did. These guys just want a little thing. We didn't even use any of the sugar. So now we put on the saddle, and horses also have an option for armor. I think we found some of that in our desert temple in the first world. So we've seen that, but it comes in a couple of varieties. It's another item like saddles that you can't just craft. You have to find it, and it pretty limited use. You know, it'll help protect the horses, as I understand it. Just like hay bales will help restore their health if they get low. But it's not as if there's mounted combat in Minecraft. You're not going to run around and, you know, take on a field of enemies from horseback. I don't think. I guess you can. You could be a pre-invasion Mongol out on the steppes of Eurasia fighting from horseback. But it's, I don't know, never really comes up too much for me. So what we're going to do is put you in with Lud. You don't get a name tag because one or the other of our little doggy friends is going to. Come on, doggies. Now, we've already certainly bred our cows, and I know pigs, cows, and chickens. Where are you going, dude? Come here. Where'd your buddy go? Oh, my goodness. Come here. I think so far we bred cows, chickens, and pigs, and now dogs. And we got a little puppy. Hello, puppy. And yeah, let's This is exactly why I held on to some wheat. Not exclusively, but one good reason. I don't know that we ever bred our sheep. We may have. We could guess pretty easily, but even if we haven't already, let's just take this opportunity, do it again. You guys get together, have a little baby. Now that I do it, I'm pretty sure we've done that once, but if my calculations are correct, we should now have 5 different types of animals bred. And we can check that if we go to advancements. And up here on the 3 categories, we got husbandry. And, you start, they're all kind of in a flow. And you can see we've already got some here. But I think this one, like the other, there's no action. This one just kind of shows up. But then you get all these options to start. We haven't really done anything with bees yet, but once we have Silk Touch, we can move bee nests around, and that's where I hope to bring some bees back closer to our farming fields. We've definitely done some crops. It used to be that Serious Dedication was about using up an entire diamond hoe, and I still am, regularly tempted to do that. It used to be such a deal, and, there are people that will actually just hoe enough stuff to use up all the durability on it. For us, we just want to, or when I did used to want to use up a full diamond hoe, I would just, if I had a mob farm of some kind already set up and running, I'd just, take it, and single shot kills for mobs is pretty easy. You just stand there for a couple minutes and individually, instead of having a sweeping edge effect, would take out mobs, and a pretty efficient way to get rid of durability on a hoe. So anyhow, that's gone now. It's become a netherite based upgrade quest instead. So here you go. We had early on bred animals, and probably chickens first, since we had seeds and that was easy. That's usually how it goes, but no matter what, we've done 5, and I can run those off as we just did. We've got the cows and chickens in pens, and we've done pigs and sheep, and now we found doggies and bred them to get a pet puppy dog to go along with the 2 we've already tamed. And I forget, I'll admit it, I don't know when you first breed them if the puppy is tame or not. I think maybe, I can't see if he has a collar. I think he does. So I think he's already tame. But since he has 2 parents and we don't want to exclude either one of them, I think we're going to give the name to the little puppy. And I'm not going to name all the dogs. Sorry, name tags are a little too precious. But our little puppy is going to be Oi. Again, fits in nicely to our theme. And this is where our little puppy... Oh, I sat him. That's why he's not back. So, there you go. Got a name, Oi. Now, I hope you follow like all the others. Good. Can be a little bit of a challenge getting you guys to deal with buildings, because sometimes you will just kind of teleport through walls. But what I'd like to do, the more dogs you get, the more constant barking you've got to deal with. And I like having my dogs around where I can see them, but one, taking them along on a lot of stuff tends to potentially get them into trouble. It also... I know, you guys are playing. So, you 2 get to chill in our basement. And while Oi's a little puppy, we'll definitely have him hang out while we're working up here, because we are coming to an end of this recording and session. Think if I come back to work on the villagers today, being the weekend, it's kind of a nice opportunity to string a few more together. So I may do that, but it's been a stretch here, and I'm definitely ready to step away from the screen and the chair for a while, kind of, get a more extended break. So we'll do that, but we're going to put our couple of different little things in. You are the same guy. Ha! Look at all the ferns I got. You only got one. So yeah, it's cool to be able to play. The other thing that once we have our bedroom, we'll do a little bit more, but just so yeah, hey, oi, how you doing? Now, I think it's been a while since I've done any of this, but let's take these downstairs, put them, give Oi's parents something to kind of feel their own, if we weren't prioritizing our the beds for our villagers quite so much just yet, we may give them a little more carpet. But there you guys go. And then you got, don't pee on them too much, but your dogs, maybe what you do. But you guys just chill. Oh, look at Oi loves them so much, jumping on them. Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, these are your folks. Pretty awesome. So we got a pet. I'm definitely thrilled. We got a horse that seems pretty quick, which is cool. Again, he was just kind of chosen at random, and I just wanted to take one that had at least one heart up on that upper level. You can find horses that have just massive racks of hearts, and that was kind of the dispute that I was alluding to a little bit earlier, was whether more hearts equaled less speed. It is, at least for a while, was either a thing or a rumored thing, and I'm not sure exactly how that all plays out, but it definitely seems to be a bit more random in terms of the speed. In my limited experience, and I haven't done just massive breeding and taming and time trials around a fixed track or anything like that, which I know some folks have, but my understanding is that you can breed horses for strong attributes. So when you get a herd of horses, obviously their markings are another. You can cross across those to get different colors. Same goes with sheep. Once you've dyed them, you can, a black sheep and a white sheep will give you I think a light gray sheep or maybe a dark gray, but you can further lighten those up by mixing the colors of the sheep that you're breeding together. With horses, I think the hearts and I think the speed, and I think there may be a different metric for jumping. Again, I'm way beyond my real experience here, but I think you can, by selectively picking the parents, you can get them all, enhanced, or keep working them in a direction. And it may be a slow, long process, but I love that there's that possibility. So we've done some very good things. Most importantly, we've identified the source of our villagers, and now we'll look to establish kind of an outpost for those guys to live safely away from me in case I get cursed or draw the attention of pillagers, far from harm, so that if I happen to be around them at night, they're not going to get attacked, or I'm not going to draw things to them. So we'll make them a very secure but comfortable and sociable living space for them to enjoy. And in their gratitude, they're going to provide us with the opportunity to buy a lot of books from and give them lots of emeralds that we'll then buy back. So I look forward to all that and so much more. Thanks again so much for joining and being a part of this ride. It's definitely fun for me, and I hope it is for you guys to watch. So let's do it again soon, all right? Thanks again for joining, and as always, We'll look forward to the next opportunity. Have a great rest of your day, or until the next video starts playing. Thanks again. Bye.